Hello, my lovely, beautiful friends. Welcome back to my channel. So I am going to be posting a video right after this talking all about Mercury Retrograde, which we are now in, and what it actually is. I'm going to go into the scientific kind of definition of Mercury retrograde, what that means, and then talk a little bit about, just give you some things to think about Mercury retrograde, especially if you've heard about it. You may not have heard it talked about this way, so I would love for you to watch. And the video that I'm going to be posting for you guys is actually a Facebook Live that I recorded in my Healing Her Collective. And I wanted to post this video because one, I really felt like I said everything that I wanted to during it, and I didn't want to record it twice for you guys because when I talk about it the first time, it's really authentic to me, and I didn't want to kind of polish it up and perfect it and put it on YouTube. I wanted you to just raw see me talk about it and even see how uncomfortable I am talking about it. So that is why I filmed it the way that I did and wanted to record this. Also, so you can get an idea for the kind of videos that I post in the Healing Her Collective. And I do a lot of seminars, official seminars, but then I post kind of bonus videos like this and a lot of different messages and just giving you guys insight and advice on different things and on all that good stuff. So if you want to join the Healing Her Collective right now, I have a special offer where if you join for $33 a month, no commitment, cancel anytime you want, you get a free 15-minute Reiki session with me, which also includes a reading. And in the Healing Her Collective, it is a monthly program that focuses on healing from the inside out. It is your spiritual workouts. That's how I describe it. With this program, I'm your spiritual personal trainer, giving you spiritual workouts. We're going to get spiritually sweaty, do some inside work, emotionally purge some things that we've been holding on to with Kundalini yoga, with meditation, with Reiki, with journaling. You develop your HHC Master Morning Ritual with me, and we have a theme every month, and you get access to the current month and all past months' content, you guys. This is like amazing. It's amazing for $33 a month. And so, yeah, if you are excited about it and you're ready to dive into some inner work and also make spirituality fun and have fun with it, come join us and come check it out. You can cancel whenever you want. If you don't like it after a week, you don't have to renew for the next month. So you can just let me know. But why wouldn't you give it a go? I feel like we're sitting in so much fear and unhappiness in our life. And I created this because I knew there was a need for people to be able to release that. And I have released so much fear, you guys. So much fear. I'm just so blissfully happy and peaceful and manifesting the things that I want in my life. And so I want to share that with you guys. I really want to share that with you guys. So, yeah, I hope that you guys will join. So yeah, I love you, and let's get into this video on Mercury retrograde. Mwah. Happy Friday, TGIF. Woohoo, it's Friday. Exciting. We have a lot of basketball this weekend, a lot of fun stuff happening, and Mercury is in retrograde. And I think I saw a lot of people posting yesterday that it was in retrograde yesterday, but it went into retrograde today. Unless I'm mistaken on the dates, but I've looked it up like 500 times and double checked it all, and it went into retrograde today. So I want to talk about it. I want to talk about Mercury in retrograde. So take a nice big sip of my tea before we do this. I think this might be one of the more controversial videos I've ever posted in here, I think. And I'm going to link a couple of my favorite videos on Mercury in retrograde too, so that you guys can listen to those and watch those. Hi, Christina. Hey, girly. I'm not a professional astrologer, so everything that I say, just, I'm not a professional astrologer or a scientist or anything like that, but I have done an absolute ton of research on retrograde, and I've listened to it from scientists' perspectives and astrologers' perspectives, and through that, I've taken kind of my own direction with it, and I just want to give you guys the information and then let you do, this isn't about my opinion and what I believe. I'm going to give you the information and then let you do whatever you want to do with this. So, Mercury retrograde. I'm like excited. I'm like hyped, but I'm also like nervous to talk about this because I'm really going to kind of throw down a little bit with this, which I think will be like the first time. Not even in my opinions, but just in what it is, and we'll get into it. So, all right, Mercury retrograde. First of all, Mercury is the planet that is closest to the sun, and it is the smallest, and it orbits the sun at a much faster rate than Earth. I think it's 4 times as fast. It takes only 88 days for Mercury to do one orbit around the sun. It takes Earth 365 days, right? That's a year. And the way that Mercury rotates on its axis is a lot slower than Earth. It's like 55 days, I think, is it takes Mercury. It's 55 Earth days for Mercury to rotate on its axis once, but it rotates around the sun every 88 days. So if you're imagining it, we have Earth out here and Mercury out here, and Mercury is just kind of like circling the sun, right? 4 times, pretty fast. And Earth is getting a quarter of the way around the sun every time Mercury does one full round, okay? So what is Mercury in retrograde? Mercury orbits so fast that around the sun that at one point, and it happens it's about every 4 months, so it's about every rotation that Mercury does, there is a point where it essentially laps us, and we see Mercury stop and begin to go backwards. Now, in early astronomers' days, they actually thought this planet was going backwards, and it like super freaked people out. Like, what is happening? How is this planet going backwards? I don't understand this. This doesn't make any sense because no planets go backwards. Then they realized the rate at which, over the years and with scientific facts and all the studies and things that we've done of space, everything rotates in position to fixed stars. And so, astronomers used to look up and see Mercury, going around and then stop and go backwards. And that's kind of what they thought was happening. But what we have found is that Mercury goes around the sun so quickly that it is a complete illusion that it is in retrograde. So the term retrograde is really confusing because it isn't actually in retrograde. Retrograde would mean, it doesn't go back. Okay, Mercury does not orbit backwards. It just laps us. And so there's a period where it looks like to us for about 3 weeks that Mercury is going backwards. And now because Mercury rotates the fastest and it's also the smallest, gods and things it was named after were like messengers. And so it's a planet that rules communication and also travel and just clarity and understanding and things like that. So, when astrologers talk about Mercury in retrograde, because it appears that Mercury is going backwards, it messes with communication with people. And it's a time to not make big decisions because you'll probably change your mind and, you don't have clarity on it. So it's supposed to mess with communications, electronics. That's a way that we communicate, travel plans, and yeah, so that is actually what Mercury retrograde is. It is the appearance and the total illusion that Mercury is going backwards. Mercury doesn't actually go backwards. Does that make sense to everybody? So Mercury just orbits the sun much faster than we do. And so there's a period of time where it looks like it loops back on itself and goes backwards, but it's not. It's going the same around the sun. And there is I just got to throw out there's a lot of misconception. And unless I am reading something wrong, and I've read a lot, but maybe I'm missing something. But unless I've missed something, which I 100% don't believe that I have with this particular fact, there are a lot of people that say Mercury stops. Mercury does not stop. The velocity, I think, is a little bit more, fluctuates a little bit. So I don't think it's quite as steady, but it does not stop its orbit. It never stops for any period of time. Now, if somebody's watching this and you 100% know that it stops, I've not found that in anything that I've researched. They've never said Mercury stops. So Mercury is just going around so fast that it looks like it starts to double back on itself and go backwards. But it's not actually going backwards. So that is the description of Mercury and retrograde and what that means and what that is. And it's taken me actually a long time to fully comprehend and understand that, because all you hear when you search, if you search what is Mercury in retrograde, you're just going to find people that are like, don't make big decisions, don't do anything, pause your life for 3 weeks. And here's where I really want to touch on. As a society, can you guys tell how uncomfortable I am right now? I'm like physically uncomfortable because I feel the need to share this. We've talked so much in here about not attaching ourselves to things. And as a society and a spiritual community, we really attach ourselves to this idea of Mercury in retrograde. And because we believe that it's going to screw with communication and mess with our plans and screw up our life, it does. And this is really mindset mastering to me, you guys. And this is really how I see Mercury retrograde. And this is why I posted that post earlier, which I said why Mercury is not a bad thing. Mercury retrograde is not a bad thing. And it's because I like astrology. I like learning about it. I think it's really interesting. But I also don't let the fact that I'm a Pisces sun sign and a Cancer moon sign dictate my entire life. I just don't. I believe in the truth within me and accessing that. And I just, like, I understand the way planets work and I understand how they affect energies. But if I attach to that, it's just like attaching myself to an addiction. I then become addicted to the patterns that tells me I'm going to have. Does that make sense to you guys? This is really where I most struggle with astrology. And I don't think astrology is bad in any way, but this is where I struggle with, I don't want to attach myself to it in a way that, like, I rely on it to tell me what's going to happen in my life, because I just don't believe that. And so Mercury retrograde last year, I'm just gonna put this out there because why not? I didn't actually know what Mercury retrograde was when I first started this journey. And so last year, around September, October, Mercury went into retrograde. During this time, Tim and I flew 4 different times. We bought a house. What else happened? We made a huge decision. I made the decision to close down 3S, and I didn't close down 3S during retrograde, but I made the decision to. I didn't know what this was, and I had then a Reiki teacher who told me that I should not buy this house. And she said, it's a mistake, like retrograde, it's in retrograde, this is what it is. And I was like, what are you talking about? I was honestly so confused. And I came home and I told Tim, and Tim really just started laughing because he was like, are you serious? Like, you're gonna let that just like, and I was like, no, we're definitely buying the damn house. Are you kidding me? So of course we bought the house, and she was like, well, my Reiki person afterwards, she was like, well, just so you know, when you move in, do not be surprised if everything starts going wrong. We've literally never had anything go wrong with this house. We like love this house. And so here's what I would say to really think about and really ponder when it comes to Mercury in retrograde. We are consciously or unconsciously creating our reality all the time. Whatever we believe, whatever we think about comes into our life, right? We talked all about that in January. You guys know that. So if you focus your attention on these next 3 to 4 weeks being absolutely heinous because of Mercury being in retrograde, that's what's going to happen. But it doesn't mean that Mercury retrograde is causing it. It means that you're thinking about it. That's really what I would encourage you guys to consider with this, because Mercury retrograde is actually an illusion. It's not Mercury. If Mercury was going backwards, I'd be like, oh hell, let's like look into this. What is even happening right now? And I just think this is another way that we really love to attach ourselves to things that let us sit with our misery. I feel so uncomfortable right now. I'm just going to be honest. Like, I'm allowed. Sure. I give myself permission to just be uncomfortable talking about this because I know so many people really like this, but we like to blame shit on other shit, right? We like to blame our shit on other shit. So I feel like that's what we're doing with Mercury retrograde, and it has become so pop culture-y, this idea of Mercury in retrograde. And I think a lot of people are going to disagree with this, and that's okay. I'm not saying my opinion is right. I just want to give you guys things to think about and how we talked about non-attachment. And so I don't attach myself to any one thing to dictate my life in any way. What I attach myself to is my own truth and my own soul. And my truth tells me that I can create whatever reality I want, and a quarter of the year doesn't have to go to waste because Mercury's in retrograde, which is an illusion. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say about it. And really, if you think about it, Mercury will be in retrograde, I think it's 4 full times this year, and now astrologers have this whole like pre-shadow and post-shadow stuff. So it's like 6 weeks. I want to curse so much in this video. But so it's like 6 weeks of Mercury retrograde. You guys, that's half the year. That's like, right? That's 3 months times 2, 6 months. So 6 months out of the year, you can't travel or make plans, or you won't be able to communicate clearly, and you're going to get in arguments with everybody. And honestly, I think it's a way that we want to wallow and we want to attach ourselves to misery. And so you guys can totally have your own opinion on this, absolutely. And you might hear this totally differently, and your truth might say something completely different, and I want to just say that's okay. But I want to share this because I have Googled and researched so much about Mercury retrograde, especially with it coming in and what I wanted to share with you guys on Mercury retrograde. And everything I have found is so negative. It's so negative, and that confuses me. As a part of the spiritual community, it really confuses me because I don't understand. If we're trying to come back to love all the time, why is there room for negativity for Mercury retrograde? If we don't let negativity come in, if we choose to see all humans and all people, even the people who really freaking hurt us, as mirrors, and we see them as that, and we take that in, and we do all this emotional purging and emotional work, and then this like planetary illusion comes along, and we're like, get on that train. If we get on that train and we call it Mercury retrograde, we can like blame all of this on that. And yes, a lot of people do say it's a time for introspection and a time to slow down and a time, you know, to really like think about what's happening in your life. And I get that. I totally, totally, totally get that. But I just struggle with the idea that this should dictate any part of our life. I struggle with the idea that any one thing should dictate the pace, the actions, you know, the steps that we take in our life, the things we believe about our life and about who we are. And that's where, you know, I like astrology and I think it's really fun and I like learning about it. But when I say I don't attach myself, yeah, I'm a lot like a Pisces and I am a Cancer moon. So I'm like all water and I'm like super emotional person. And that's really cool that like that's out there and they know that. But I am not the kind of person that logs on and reads my daily horoscope and is like, that's what my day is going to be like. Because if you're doing that, you're just attaching yourself to a preset outcome that, like, what? It's just, this is just it's been blowing my mind really recently with all of the posts. And I know I posted that really funny video about Mercury retrograde because I thought it was freaking hilarious because it is so pop culture and so much like, you know, what people think about Mercury retrograde. But I was just watching it and I was like, I mean, I laughed so hard, and then afterwards I was like, why do we do this? It's like we give ourselves permission to wallow in crappy things that happen, and also to allow those things to happen. We just did intentional living, we just did manifesting, and now we're doing intuitive development. So we talked all about like how we need to detach from self-limiting beliefs and how we need to come into the day with intention and start it with positivity. And then we talked about like how we actually create our reality and manifesting, and like how we have to think and believe and know that it's already coming to us, and it has to be about positivity and love, and there's no room for fear. And now we're like developing our soul this month and our connection to our soul and its voice. And now everybody's gonna be like, well, you know, Mercury's in retrograde, so you know what that means. Like, we definitely can't communicate clearly, and I'm probably going to get in arguments with everybody, and, you know, all my electronics are going to go haywire, and this flight I just booked, I might as well cancel it because it's definitely something bad's going to happen. And so we then allow ourselves to completely undo all of the other work that we've done and justify, like, shitty mindsets because of an illusion of an astrological phenomenon. I love you guys. Thanks for watching. That is really, I think, all I have to say. I think I'll just keep repeating myself. I keep going. And I know this is a strange video, and I hope that this doesn't offend anybody. Like I said at the beginning, and I do 100% stand by this. Please have your own opinion of this. Please think whatever you want about this. This is just my version of it, and I like to come in here, talk to you guys about that, and give you something to think about. So if you've never thought about it this way, just getting you to pause for a second and think about it that way and then develop your own opinion of it is why I'm here. That's why I'm here, to teach you, to guide you, to help you develop your practice. That's what I'm here for. So this was not meant to be offensive in any way. I know I use some harsh language, but I don't at all think people who believe that Mercury retrograde does all of this are bad people or like crazy or anything. This is just my mindset with it and how I approach it, because I will make all the decisions that I want during Mercury retrograde, because I am constantly manifesting opportunities, and that doesn't stop for me for a quarter of the year just because Mercury is in retrograde. And that was important for me to share with you guys. So I hope that you enjoyed this and that you don't hate me, you know, because I felt pretty uncomfortable filming this, but it's a truth that I really needed to share because I've just been feeling like I have to share it with you guys and just give you a different way of looking at it from kind of what's hot in social media with Mercury retrograde. So I love you guys. Thank you for watching this, and post all your comments below. Let's have a conversation. If you don't agree with this, if you want to talk about it, let's talk about it. I don't want anybody to clam up and be like, oh my gosh, Abby is so mean and crazy, and why would she ever say this? Let's talk about it. Absolutely. I want to start the conversation on it, especially if you have questions. Do your own research. I'm going to post 2 really good videos that really perfectly explain, one very scientific one that explains exactly what it is, and then the other one talks a little bit more about some of the concepts I talked about in here and the mindset and whatnot, and just like the popularity of Mercury retrograde and us thinking this way and manifesting. So I personally, for me, just believe that retrograde goes against so many of my core truths, which involve manifesting and intentional living, and I believe that it puts the intentional living on this negative thing that I don't want to bring into my life, so I don't know why I would. And that's really just at the base how I see it. So I love you guys. Thank you for watching. I'm going to give you a cute puppy to look at. Hi, Toby. So cute. You're so cute, Mr. Toby. Yeah, make them love me again. Can you guys see how much fear I had over this video? It's ridiculous. But I hope that you can just kind of respect my truth and my honesty, even when it's uncomfortable, if it's uncomfortable for you, if this made you uncomfortable. And I love you guys so much. Yes, so we love you. We do, we love you. Yeah. Okay. Bye, guys.